Hello, ladies and gentlemen, in our chat. It's so good to see you all here again. I'm excited. Um, my mic there. Um, I d- uh, I want to say hi to everybody in the chat really quickly. Looks like JD was my first guest in tonight. He was on at 4:35. Thanks for being so great to making sure that you're here uh, nice and early and ready with questions and comments. I'm excited about it. Alice, as you can see, who's on our panel, is in chat. Also, hi Alice. And
Hi.
we have Galataki. Glad to see you here. Colette, great to see you. And Miss Linda. Hi, Linda. How are you doing? Good to see you. Darkside is here. Great to see you, Darkside. Hey, Sylvia. Nice to see you here, too. I feel like I'm in Romper Room again. I don't know how many of us in the chat are old enough to remember Romper Room, but that's what it feels like. I'm going to get my little mirror out next time. So anyway, I expect that Jack will be joining us soon as well. Um, Kay is on the road. She is headed, she's been out of town all day, so she's on her way back home, and she'll join us as soon as she can. And um, of course, we have Alice, and then Susan is at work. But as soon as she gets home from work, she's going to join us as well. So we have we little bit, people are coming and going, lives are starting to get back to normal a little bit. So, um, but you know what? You got me and Cherie and Alice. So, if the others don't make it, I think we can entertain you enough. So I appreciate all of you for being here. Um, I am just going to, uh, I made a decision just a little bit ago, just before we came live, um, that I was going to tell y'all something right off the start at the start of the show and just get it out of the way. Um, I think most of you, or some of you in the chat, and some of you in Daniel's Truth and in Foul Play, certainly, um, if you've been around a while, you know that. Hi, T1. Glad to see you. Are you driving with beer in your hand again tonight? I hope not. We're gonna have some more conversation, just kind of some random conversation, T1, kind of like we did last week with these great guests that I have. But I'm just gonna just tell all of you guys that the situation with my son has gotten to that point, and ah, um, I had to put him in hospice yesterday, and he's down in Arizona with my baby sister. But we had to start the hospice process yesterday. He's almost completely reliant on oxygen, and lots of, the cancer is pretty much devouring, most parts of his body. And so we know what that means. And I've had a year to prepare for it, but it's still not enough time. You know what I mean? So anyway, the point of telling you guys all of this, and I've been discussing it with Kay and Cherie all along, more so in private. Um, but they're going to be taking over. Well, let me just say this: I'm not leaving. I'm not. I mean, I'm moving to Arizona temporarily, of course, but um, and I may be not involved for a bit, but I'm not going anywhere. And when I can be on the show or do the show or, present the show, I certainly will. And I know, yes, my family is the most important thing. My son is the most important thing, of course, and I won't ever leave him to do anything else. But when I'm available, I can't leave you guys, because if I do that, then I'll really struggle. And so I need you guys basically. And so being able to carry on with my fight for Daniel's freedom um, is going to be so sorry is going to be what's going to help me keep going. So when I can, I will be a part of every single thing I can. Kay and Cherie are going to probably be doing the bulk. of the shows, and Alice has agreed that she will be co-hosting with them, and which is, I know you guys are going to love. Alice and Kay and Cherie are going to be very entertaining and very giving you great information. The bookcast will still go on Thursdays. I'm not, I can't read the chat. You guys you're killing me. I thank you so much. But nothing is going away. It's just going to be some changes for a little while. And that's really all I wanted to say. So with that said, I wanted to say all of that at the beginning, at the top tonight, so that when we end, it's going to be on the fun, exciting, more upbeat, as much as it can be with this case, kind of a note, rather than, dropping this on you at the end and then leaving everybody all feeling crappy and depressed as we leave. So, okay, got that done and out of the way. Thank you, everybody, so much for all of your kind words in the chat. You all mean so much to me, and your support here, just your support for Daniel means so much to me. But knowing that I have all of you to turn to, when I need it, is also very important and very special to me. So thank you. I'm really sorry, Nosy. I'm sorry, but we're done now. I'm done now, and so now we're going to go ahead and get started with the podcast. What I wanted to kind of start with, if you're a little bit late, I will have Jack, I think, is going to be joining in soon, I hope. And Susan, when she gets home from work, will be joining us. And I think that Kay will for sure be joining us when she gets in off of the road from her little day trip that she's been on. So, but what I thought I wanted to do, I don't know if all of you are aware, I've tried to post it. Nosy, I hope that you're doing well and that your life is getting back to normal there, and you have adequate water and heat and all of those things. Hi, Shaz, it's good to see you. And everybody who's been affected by the blast of odd, crazy, weird weather, freezing temperatures. I hope that you're all getting along better now and that things are starting to work out a little bit. I can tell you that from where I live in Utah, we've had a beautiful, gorgeous, sunny day, albeit very cold. But we didn't have any snow for the last couple of days, so I'm not sending you any of that for a little while. But it will be coming. I think we're supposed to be getting more storms starting tomorrow, and I hope and pray for all of you east of me that it doesn't affect you at all. I hope that it dissipates. Is that the right weather term? I hope that it dissipates once it leaves me, I hope it dissipates before it gets over the Rockies to you all. And that's the prayer I'll hold for you guys. But I don't know if everybody knows or if everybody's even caught up or listened, but Brian Bates came out with his 24th, I believe it is, episode of, gosh, I'm so rude. Let me first have you, I need to say hello to Cherie and Alice. I'm so sorry. Cherie's been really busy today as well. Are you been busy doing research today, Cherie? You're muted, hun. Oh, Cherie fell out, so let me get her back in. Okay, there we go. And Jack is here. Nope, Kay is here. All right, sorry. All right, can everybody hear me? Kay, Cherie?
Yeah.
Alice? Okay, great. All right, great. So Alice, Cherie, I know you've been busy today doing research and stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm helping my daughter with her taxes.
Oh, yes. Ugh, that's terrible, taxes.
It is.
Hopefully it all worked out for her.
Hopefully.
That's the best that we can hope for, right? Alice, would you like to say hello and let everyone know what your day was like?
Hi everybody. Just a quiet day. Was trying to catch up with the Brian Bates podcast.
Okay, good.
But I had to stop because I was like, "Oh my fucking god, are you serious?" So yes, I had to stop. So I haven't listened to it all yet. So I'll need to
Okay.
finish doing that.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to listen to. I've already seen the whole interview video, gosh, a long time ago, and it's really really upsetting. So I get that. It's rough to listen. Okay. I told everybody that you've been out and about today on a road trip today. How was your day gone?
Oh, it was so nice. It's 70,
Oh,
probably 72 degrees here today.
my goodness.
The wind wasn't too bad. Sat out in the backyard and listened to Stacy and our friend Rick play guitar.
Oh, fabulous. How nice.
A little bit
70.
normal. A little bit normal.
Oh, yeah, I think I was saying, I don't know if you had quite gotten in yet when I mentioned, that it's, maybe things are kind of starting to feel a little bit normal again. That would be great. All right. Well, don't worry about me and Cherie because we've just been here slaving over research all day. Just kidding.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's been a twisty day, but it's been okay. And Jack has joined us. Jack, how are you doing today?
Well, you know how I like to make a big entrance.
Yeah, I do know.
I'm sorry, I was helping someone with OBS, but not too bad. Hey, we got almost to 50 degrees today, I'll have you know. So,
My gosh.
yeah.
Okay, now I'm jealous.
Like a heat wave. Actually, it'd be good to get some of this melted off. It's kind of a mess out because we got more snow yesterday.
Oh, no.
I think we got like 2 or 3 more inches.
Oh, gosh.
Yep.
I'm sorry
Yep.
about that.
Yeah, it's an insult to injury. You know how it is.
Well, of course. Yeah. You must be sinning a whole lot more.
Well, no, not really. I'm still sitting the normal amount, but let me put it this way: it's a mess for everyone else. Let me put it that way.
I know it is. It's rough. Hopefully it will start to mellow out soon for everybody across the board. Everybody needs a break. Nobody needs all this nasty, deadly freezing weather and frozen water pipes and no water, no heat bullshit anymore. We've had enough. 2020 or 2021 was supposed to be better. It's not worse, but it's supposed to be better. So let's hope the worst of 2021 is over and everybody's going to start to mellow out and smooth out. So
yeah. See, Gala. Oh man, I had the sunroof open today.
Oh, shut up, Gala. Who invited you to chat anyway?
It's been 20, 15, 20 degrees here, and you forget about opening the sunroof on any vehicle. Well, I mean, you can, but, I'm not saying that people here in Michigan wouldn't do that. There's probably a few that will, but, for the most part, you don't do that. So today, I guess, it was really quite nice. So.
That's very nice. I'm actually really happy for you guys if you can get some decent weather.
Oh, that's t-shirt weather.
God bless 50? You. Because
yeah, put the coats back in the closet. We're done.
Oh well. Oh, that's pretty. What's it? Positive? That's a pretty positive attitude.
That's right.
And look, just in time, we have. I think. Oh, I thought. Oh,
where am I?
Black, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, good. You're just a big black square. At least that's all I can see. So
right. I don't know why.
Yeah, but doesn't matter. We know who you are, what you look like, who you sometimes sound like, and we love you anyway. So, everybody.
Love you too. Thank you.
Susan is here from work, so we have the full crew here tonight. So. We were just getting ready to start talking about the new episode of Brian Bates' podcast, episode 24, which is the Shardarian Hill episode, which is
Shardarian, yes.
on. Yeah, get it right, right? So, yeah, so I was just kind of starting to ask everybody if they've listened to any of it yet, or if they've seen it before the interview, what some of their thoughts are. So, Alice, I think you were starting to talk about it.
Yes, aye. Oh God, where do I start? How did they not pick up that it was one lot of bullshit that woman was saying? I picked it up in the first few sentences, the way she was going on. Just, I had to stop. I was getting so angry that they didn't pick up on it. I had to stop.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, she's pretty transparent for sure. I agree with you, Alice. Kay, what I know you're a little more familiar with her episode as well. What are your thoughts? What's some of your thoughts?
Well, I think right off the bat, it's really clear that Rocky Gregory's doing that thing he does. Where he's trying to explain, make a record of something that I think really isn't true. But he feels like if he makes a record of it, then he's, getting all of his ducks in a row or whatever. So in the very beginning, she asks him, I can't remember her exact words, but basically, how did you know to find me?
Yeah.
Well,
right after he's documenting that, okay, now you called the main line.
Yeah.
And, Lieutenant Musney told me, hey, we have someone who called the main line, and we haven't talked before this at all. I think he said that 3 or 4 times. Now, we haven't talked before this, so I'm going to ask you some questions.
That's how you know he's lying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely bizarre. I mean, not unexpected, but bizarre.
And it was not until like September, right?
Right.
This interview. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
She saw it on the news.
Right. Which is after it's been all over the news. Yeah.
Or Facebook, I guess she said.
Well, yeah, well.
Right.
She's a lot like Rocky, talking, she's flying.
It's not just that. She stumbles. She's trying to think of what to say next and everything like that. And the spiel that's coming out her mouth is utter shit. I'm surprised that fucking Gregory swallowed it, to be honest. And sometimes you can hear it in his voice and you go, really? Are you sure? But he's still writing it down anyway. It's like, you're a fucking half-wit.
Yeah. Well, it's another victim to pile on, right? So, the more of those they could get, the better their case looked.
Right.
And the fact he mentions the so-called list that they didn't have, but yet he got her off a list.
Yeah.
So, Susan, have you listened to all of it by now?
I did. And I've seen the video of it before, and I did listen to it on Brian's all the way through.
Yeah.
Again. And, the biggest thing to me is the very end.
Of course.
You
want to explain that to people in the chat, Susan, who might not know how that ends?
Well, after the interview's done and the camera's still rolling, I guess, she says to Rocky, so was that good evidence, do you think? Even if he didn't rape anybody, what does she say? Even if he didn't
rape nobody.
Yeah. He still shouldn't be around.
He's
contacting them.
He's still getting in contact with people that he's
arrested.
Still getting in touch with people that he's been in contact with.
That's right. Yeah.
And she's stretching her arms like, oh, all in a day's work. How was that, boss?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's so infuriating, but the fact that it got took and it went to court and all, it's like, really?
How can that woman live with herself? How can any of these women live with themselves?
I know. Well, it was all money, wasn't it? They've probably been told that they're going to get a shitload of money.
Yeah. Well, and for anybody who doesn't know, he was found not guilty on Shardarian Hill's,
Right.
on her charges. So,
Right.
she's banking on, a civil suit, payout for sure.
Yeah.
Which is disgusting.
And she's still a part of that, right?
Well, as far as I know, yeah. So, Jack, I don't know if you've listened to it or if you've heard parts of it or seen parts of the interview or not. Have you had a chance to?
I have not. I apologize. I heard Susan talking about it, but that's
Okay.
That's pretty
No
much
need
it.
to apologize. It's fine. It's not like I mean, I don't know what you're doing with your time. You're sitting around doing nothing else. I don't know why you haven't listened to it.
Well, clearly I'm not driving around with the sunroof open, but
Right? Right. Cherie, my little loudmouth in the corner. What are your thoughts? She knows I love her when I say things like that.
Well, the same as, what the others have said. I felt the same way. And then another thing is it's just so unbelievable to me that, right there in a hospital with somebody on a heart monitor, that kind of thing would go on and nobody would see it. And it's a lot for people to believe, in my opinion.
That he would be stupid enough to do something like that.
Anybody would be stupid enough, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly.
Yeah, it's just out, and I mean, I don't wasn't there. I wasn't at the trial. I didn't see what the jury's faces looked like, but I just have to wonder, there's you've got to just imagine that the jury was going, "What? Are you serious?" But I don't know.
It's the fact that she even got that far into a fucking courtroom. You know what I mean? It's, as soon as she walked out of that room saying, "Well, is that good evidence then?" It should have been flung in the fucking bin. Well, you've just screwed up my fucking case, you idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I understand the Black Lives Matter movement, and I think it's very important. But lying to take out your frustrations, may I put it that way, or, trying to pay back, which I think is what some of these women are doing.
Yeah, that's not the right way either.
No.
I completely agree. You
Well,
gotta do it right.
It taints the cause altogether.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I think that's one of the big serious parts about this whole case is the fact that it was going on when the riots and everything like that were going on, and police were getting let off left, right, and centre with killing African American people and everything like that. And a lot of it was to do with pressure, even though they say it wasn't to do with pressure and everything like that. It would have, because if Daniel had got a not guilty verdict, there would have been riots, there would have been a riot outside that court and everything, and they just weren't prepared for it. And that's the whole shame about this whole fucking thing, is the fact that there's a man sitting in jail who is completely innocent of everything that they are saying that he fucking done, and they're still continuing to say that he done it and trying to make money out of it, and it's no right.
Yeah. Right. It's disturbing, to say the least. And I've been looking at some other cases that I know Kim Davis worked on way before Daniel, and the one question, or the one case both of the cases that I'm thinking of in particular, the evidence is questionable. the DNA evidence is questionable. So one of them was Rayshawn Mullins. He's one of the people that we talked about in the Chris Gilchrist podcast way back in October. And then another one is I can never Erskine. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'll type it in the chat. But roadside, not roadside, road top,
Right out.
Right out.
right out.
Right.
Thank you. I couldn't say it. Like it was something.
You were close.
I was really close. 10 more minutes and I would have had it.
You loosened the lid before they got it. It was you.
Yeah. So, there's and then I believe that a lot of you know that Kim Davis had a partner that she worked with in sex crimes way back in the early 2000s, I suppose it was. And her partner at the time, who was her mentor really, had committed suicide the day he was supposed to go back on the witness stand in the Rideout case.
Rhonda, I was wrong about that. He had not testified yet. He shot himself the morning of the first day. That
Right.
would have been his first day.
That would have been his
Wow.
birthday. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Can I just stop you right there? And because I know nothing about that, is there any indicators? Was there anything going on?
Well, you mean for why he did it?
Yeah.
Well, not that I know of, not that I'm aware of. I've been trying to get more information. I think I might have put some newspaper clips in Daniel's Truth about his suicide that Jinx had found. And so I posted those, I think, in Daniel's Truth. And it's just kind of like those, we don't know. We're so shocked. We don't know. They actually ended up, Rideout's public defender tried to get a mistrial because of the suicide, and it was thrown out. And so they did carry on the trial. They continued the trial, and in the newspaper clippings announcing his suicide, it mentions that Kim Davis may be stepping in to do the testimony in his place because she was also working on the case. So, but
Remind me, Rhonda, what that case was.
the Rideout case,
Yeah.
he had, I don't know the details because there's not a lot of information on the case, honestly. Surprise, or at least that I've been able to find. But he was accused of rape and burglary, and I'm sure other sexual assaults. I don't know the details. Like I said, there's not the information in the court stuff that I did find was based on his appeals.
And was he a sex crime investigator?
Oh, Butch McKenna, yes, he was in sex crimes. Yes.
Okay.
The Rayshawn Mullins case, which was another case that she worked on and got a conviction on, was he was a high school basketball star. And he ultimately, and I got to find this out, I got to dig into this information, but he ultimately at some point ended up confessing. And he was able to he was sentenced to over 1,000 years for his rapes and
Jesus
attacks on,
Christ.
I think he had 9 accusers, if I am not mistaken. I'm sure Kay knows more of those details, but he ultimately ended up confessing, and I'm not sure why. Again, I can't really find very much on his case. But I do have his address in prison, and I'm strongly considering writing to him.
Do you think he's innocent?
Well, DNA. He asked he asked 3 times for DNA evidence, as new evidence,
Mhm.
and it was denied all 3
Uh-huh.
times. If I'm not, I get the 2 cases mixed up. I'm not going to lie. Kay, is that how you and Cherie remember that, or?
The ride out was the
Mullins.
ride out case the one where at trial they pointed out his brother? Oh no, that was Malcolm Rent Johnson. I have these all confused in my head right now.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't know we were going to talk about these tonight.
I wasn't planning it either. This is just an a la carte conversation again.
sure.
But anyway,
I don't know,
yeah.
Wanda. I think Kay got too much sun. I think she had too much fun today.
Man, it was so nice.
her body
Oh.
doesn't know how to process the sun, the
Right.
vitamin D.
Yeah, it was 70 degrees here. It was
Oh
beautiful.
my gosh.
Oh my God.
Unreal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Will you all stop? You're making me jealous. It's done nothing but
too.
rain here all day.
Wow.
Sunny as could be. Yeah.
I've been rain all bloody day the day.
Sorry, Alice.
That's okay,
That's
Susan.
no problem.
My daughter will be serving a scrumptious meal eventually soon, and you know I'll be talking about that, and you probably
And I'll
haven't
be
had a
jealous.
chance to eat yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I trail off. That's how y'all know how I roll. I trail off and I get really sidetracked. But I mean, the point is that, you know, there's more to Kim Davis's corruption than just Daniel's case. And I know it's a really, really horrible thing to say, but in my mind, I'm thinking, you know, Butch McKenna, a couple of different theories that I have. Either he was not, maybe got a horrible, horrible, guilty conscience about what he was going to testify to that day. I have no idea at all because I don't know. Or he, how the hell could anybody work with that woman?
Yeah.
After what she said, Rhonda, after what she said about what the prosecutor did about in his closing statement, oh, that's just good lawyering.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good trial lawyer.
That
Yep.
tells you right there. That tells
Yep.
you right there what a dirty ass piece of shit she is. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. No, thank you for saying it, because if you hadn't,
Only
I
Alice
was
gets to
going
say those words.
Oh, sorry.
I'm teasing, of
Hey,
course.
I have the utmost respect for our law enforcement agents that try to do the right thing and do their job.
Absolutely.
The utmost
Same
respect.
here. Same
But
here.
when you get somebody like that she makes you not like her just by the way she
Yeah.
acts. She makes you not like her.
She makes you want to commit suicide.
Apparently, if I had to work with her, I mean, I've never considered it in my life. But if I was, look, my boss said, you have to go work with Blinker for a couple of years. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, she's rough.
Yeah, I couldn't take it.
I think I don't remember exactly. It might have been Friday night. I think I had streamed the 2-hour-long Michelle Malkin interview with Rocky and Blinkwinkle in Daniel's Truth. I streamed that, and Jack and Susan watched it and hadn't seen the full uncut thing ever before. And so it took us a little longer to get through it than 2 hours because there was a lot of stopping and venting, of course. So
we had to stop because we just couldn't fucking stomach it. We had this blow up time for a few minutes, and it's awful. It's just awful.
Yeah, it is. It's really bad. So
that's just good lawyering. What?
Yeah. Yeah, because Michelle Malkin. Yeah, that's when Michelle Malkin asked them. He said he flat out said that at the very end of his closing statement that it was the DNA was from the vaginal walls from fluid, or however he said it, from the 17-year-old victim. And Michelle Malkin asked Kim Davis and Rocky, how does he say that and get away with it? And then Kim Davis just says, well, that's a good trial lawyer. And I thought, yeah, that's
And she
exactly the
smiles.
problem. Oh yeah, very proud, very
smile.
proud.
Yeah.
That's a damn liar is what it is. And
Yeah,
here's one
it
that's
is.
justifying it. Here's a cop that's justifying that lie.
It's straight up perjury. So it's really disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, T1, you're just trying to stay. T1 says, nothing to see here. 100% suicide. 2 shots to the head. Laugh out loud, JK. I mean, that is rough. That's
It is rough.
but it is hard to to understand the mindset. To call Daniel the names that Rocky and Blinkwinkle called him. Kim Davis said he was a narcissist, and then Rocky said psychopath, and then Kim Davis said evil, and it just makes monster. It just made my blood run cold. I just thought, oh my gosh.
She's talking about herself. She was looking in the fucking mirror.
Yeah, describing. Yep.
Hey, who else? Hey, Susan, who else does that?
Congrats.
Oh.
Exactly. It's a narcissist thing.
It is. It is a narcissist thing for sure.
Yeah.
Is Kim Davis married? I'm not asking for me.
Right.
Asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend.
Well, T showed up, and I'm not saying T's asking, but
But if you hadn't, he would have, right?
he'll probably throttle me now.
Yeah. Good luck with that, Jack.
Yeah, you might be in trouble now. Oops.
I'm teasing.
Well,
I'm teasing.
You're used to it, though, right? So, yes, the Shardarian Hill case was just, and the interview is just outrageous and unbelievable. And apparently the jury thought so as well. Now, why they believe all the other ones is still a mystery, but I mean,
how long did she know that they were trying to get in touch with her? Do you know?
No, we don't know.
Yeah, it's a pretty big mystery, I think, as far as I know.
I mean, they're saying that she just called in.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, she came forward.
But she happened to be on the list as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the beginning of that interview, it is interesting to hear him stumble all over himself trying to answer her question, which he never does answer. So,
yeah.
Right. And he's just probably.
He says you were on the list.
Yeah.
But then that so-called list fucking disappears by the time it comes to court. And they say, no, there was no list.
Yeah.
So they say that in court, there was no list.
Oh, well, that's what I hear. I mean, as far, from Michelle Malkin has clips of, different things in trial and whatever, and whatever little bits Brian Bates has shared. But if I recall correctly, I think that they denied there's any kind of list. And so
if you just listen to all these interviews, they mention it to almost every girl.
1,000,000 times. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then somehow at trial, they decided that looked bad. So they started trying to say that, well, no, I mean, we said a list, but it was really these packets. There really wasn't a list. I mean,
bullshit.
Well, I mean, the list was only to make the packets, and then I threw the list away.
Yeah, there is no list. Kim Davis says. There's no list. It's just a little packet. little packets. I got half, and Rocky took the other half, and me and my partner went out, and we, so, Kay, have you been practicing your Kim Davis impersonation?
No.
No?
Talk about a broken blinker.
I only practice when she's talking, in my face when I'm trying to watch a video of her.
Stuck right in your eyes and in your ears, like tormenting you.
Yeah. It's hard to make those stupid faces.
Yeah, I know, man. She's got some crazy faces.
She does.
And then she has this rat-a-tat, 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 tat, tat meter to her conversation. Too. It's just
Explain.
like
Explain.
then one more thing and one more thing.
Oh yeah, and you got to remember, and you just got to think.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
There's only two other ladies that I detest hearing talk, or at least as much as Kim Davis. I bet y'all can guess them. You think about it.
Other ladies?
Cherie Cohane.
Well, nah, Sherry's not that bad. She's bad, but nasty.
Nasty Uncle Ken, dirty Uncle Ken.
Nasty disgrace.
Yeah.
That's one.
Oh God.
There's one more.
Who's
Dirty Uncle
nasty
Ken.
disgrace?
Nancy
Carol.
Grace.
Oh
Carol.
yeah.
God, I
Go
can't.
ahead.
Carol.
Say it, Jack.
Fucking Baskin.
Carol fucking Baskin. I'll tell you what. You let me see that.
I love the way you say that, Cattle fucking Baskin.
We haven't heard from Joe Exotic in a while, Jack.
I've been busy. I've been filing lawsuits. I've been thinking about a lot of shit, and I wasn't gonna kill her. Don't say that.
Oh. Yeah, that's a good one. Dark Side Pam of God. You're right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God, Nosy, you're killing me here, Nosy. But I got to do it.
Hartman.
Lynn Hartman.
Oh
God,
my God, yeah, that's another one.
Oh my
You're
God.
right, Nosy, no doubt.
Yep, she is disgusting. She is she is gross and nasty and ugly and bleh. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, there's a few voices we can think of. Right now, though, I'm kind of stuck on Kim, and she's horrid. I mean, she's just got, and it's I don't know if it's an Oklahoma kind of thing. I know that Kay doesn't talk like this, so I know it can be handled. But the way she kind of says some of her words, and when she says sex crimes, I'm just like, it's like sex crimes, or I can't even do it. I don't even know.
You don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it because it's gross. But the way, just some of her enunciations and things like that are just really hard to listen to. It's hard to listen to her voice, like it's hard to listen to Dirty Uncle Ken for sure.
Oh yeah, sure. That's another good one, Deb Strauss.
Yeah. Yeah. So we definitely are familiar with some really horrid voices to have to listen to, and we're trying to be the better voices for Daniel.
Well, it comes down to that narcissistic attitude that comes along that's behind the voice, and it carries through in the voice to me.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but
absolutely. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the condescension and all that stuff, right?
Sure. That's just good lawyering. That's just good trial lawyering.
It's a good trial
Really?
lawyer. That's a good trial lawyer.
I wish Michelle would have said, so the prosecutor tells an untrue thing at trial to the jury. That's good trial lawyering?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish she would have thrown that back in her face, and just that lawyer sitting off to the side would have his hair probably would have got set on fire, and he would have burst into flames.
Oh, for sure. Heck yeah. Where'd you go, Cherie?
I just signed up, or I went to I don't know. I went to do something and it kicked me out.
Oh, damn it.
She went to she's providing refreshments. I thought we were getting beer. That's why I came.
Beer, wine, anything to numb the brain, right? When we're talking about Rocky Blinkwinkle for sure.
Definitely.
So I just wanted to kind of share. That's good news, one. I don't know what, but for some reason, really late the other night, I got it in my mind to, I think it was Friday night. I got it in my mind to start looking up causes for excessive blinking or hard blinking or, the kind of blinking that she does. And I know there are medical reasons for things like that. But I just thought there's got to be something to it psychologically. And so I did come up with some articles. I think one of them at least one of them was peer reviewed that I put in to the general chat section in Daniel's Truth. And, there is some truth. There is some there's a lot of psychological that indicate that there is some truth to excessive blinking or lots of eye blinking being an indicator of someone who's lying. And so if you get a chance, go over into Daniel's Truth Discord, into the general chat section, check out the 2 or 3 articles or whatever I posted in there. And just, you don't even have to really read a whole lot, just, kind of skim through them and see.
If I could stand being in the same room, I'd love to play poker with her.
Oh,
my
I was going to say she wouldn't have a good poker face. And not only that, all you need to do is watch the Michelle Malkin interview with Blinky Winkle and Dickory. And
Did you say Dickory? I love it.
Yes, Dickory. Yeah, no, that's his new name, Dickory.
Yes, it is.
Watch that interview with him, and then watch the 2020 interview. It is completely different. She doesn't blink in it as much, because she's more in control, and there isn't the reporter hasn't got like a kind of attitude the way Michelle had with them, because Michelle knew it was a lot of bullshit, so she kind of had that kind of attitude in her voice in a sense. But this one was all nicey, and and the difference, you can see the difference, and you can tell that she's a fucking liar through and through.
But you think about how many takes they did. Well, first of all, the questions were written out. Questions and answers were written out. So they had rehearsal. Kim had to, sit through 9 hours of makeup and
not take out her earrings.
But what I'm saying, it was practiced. They knew what they were doing. So of course she didn't blink. She was very comfortable, and probably had a couple of 4 or 5 Xanax, 10 milligrams.
Maybe could have been.
Well, I don't know, but there's definitely I think I actually have seen that one that you're talking about, Alice. I'm almost positive I have, and it's a stark difference.
Well,
it's in Daniel's Truth. I think it's in Daniel's Truth somewhere.
I was just going to say, they just posted it a few days ago in the general chat section as well. The World from Ferg YouTube, and you see a lot of it in there. So yeah.
Yeah. It was just something that came up on my feeds, and I watched it, and I noticed, I was like, oh, you sneaky bitch. You're no blinking as much in that one as you are in the fucking other one with Michelle Malkin. Oh, you fucking liar.
Yeah, there is a difference. There is a difference. For sure. So yeah.
But I like Susan said, I would love to play poker with her because you'd win every fucking time.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh wow, yeah. So
it's just disgusting that these people get promoted, they win awards, for being despicable.
Aye.
Yeah.
Trustworthy. Everything that we think of police officers should, every which way they should conduct themselves. And I know it's a dirty business. I get that. That doesn't, that, to me, that doesn't mean that's how you act all the time. And she did. And,
Yeah.
you know, to a greater degree, so did Rocky. He was really cagey. He did a lot of really improper things, in my opinion. She was worse, but he did too.
You know, I don't know if she was worse because there are the way I just can't get past the way that Rocky Gregory tormented and traumatized and mentally abused Terry Morris. I really struggle to get past that because that was inhumane what he did to her. And
He was relentless, wasn't he?
oh God, he just hounded that poor woman. And I say poor woman. Yes, she had a history of drug abuse and prostitution, but she was also mentally ill, and he knew that before he started that interview and started hounding her. He knew it because she told him that she had been diagnosed with schizophrenia and with PTSD and severe depression, and was on medications, and she'd just gotten out of it wasn't Red Rock, it was oh gosh, what was it, Cherie or Kay, do you remember? Woodward.
Yeah.
Woodward mental.
Or mental institution, or
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is. I mean, it's a place that if the police detain you on,
for mental.
well, they call it an emergency
Emergency hold.
Section.
EOD, emergency order of detention,
Mm-hmm.
then they take you there for, I think it's 72 hours.
Usually
Yeah.
72-hour holds. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my nieces has been in there. Yeah.
Yeah. In California, they refer to the police code for a crazy person or taking, somebody to the mental hospital is 5150. I don't know why I get a big kick out of that, but I do. So sometimes I'll say that, yep, she was 5150, got hauled in.
Not playing with the full deck.
Right. Well, and I worked in the mental hospital here for years, and so I imagine, I cared for many Terry Morrises in my time working at the mental hospital. So it's cruel to me what he did to her. And then to have the nerve to call Daniel a psychopath and a monster, it sickens me because it's just so horrible and foul.
And a narcissist. There is nothing about that interview that he gave that indicates any of that.
Not one thing.
Nothing.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Here we got two cops that are doing the labeling as, Uyghur, a Fassbender, a Kratz. They're doing this labeling to dirty up Daniel.
Yeah.
As much as they can, because I'm sure that everyone turned against him. So, it wasn't that hard. And then, I guess I don't really know about the media coverage from that time frame. Not really. Kay, you guys were there. What was the media coverage like?
Well, the local channels in Oklahoma City were hammering it every day.
It was here too.
And the Daily Oklahoman had it on the front page a lot.
I'm sure we had we don't get a lot. We get CNN here, but on our own news, the ITV news, it was just like a 2-minute thing. Oklahoma police officer convicted, the 263 years in jail. So something like that, because it's such a high so many years that he's got and everything like that, that would get a wee snippet on our telly, and that was how I heard about Daniel. But then I didn't really look anything more into it, sort of thing. You know, I didn't know about it being about the Black Lives, round about the Black Lives era and things like that. So, but I do remember seeing a wee something on our telly about it.
Right. And I didn't hear anything about it.
I
So-
just assumed he was guilty when I saw it on the news. You know, I didn't follow it or anything, but I saw reports.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well, and that's how I was with, what are you doing, Jack?
Well, I clicked the wrong damn thing.
Oh, okay.
Pretty embarrassing, but yeah.
I like your little OBS symbol there. That's kind of cool. That works. But that's how I was with Stephen and Brendan, and I'm ashamed of that now. Now that I know as much as I do, it makes me so ashamed. But you know, when Jack told me about Daniel in the den, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go into this with an open mind and be legit about it. And it didn't take anything. It didn't take anything at all for me to believe it. And then when I saw Daniel in the den, and then I started looking at some of the interviews and stuff with, trying to get more information. And the more I saw from this Kim Davis bitch, I was like, what is wrong with her? Something isn't right. So, it's just, y'all can blame Jack for my obsession with Daniel. He had no idea he was creating a monster.
Well, it was I've told everyone before. I mean, I really didn't know anything about Daniel's case. I just remember the headline. I'm thinking, man, they got another bad cop on me, because at that time I was really just getting into some of the underbelly of the law enforcement and criminal justice. I'm thinking, man, they got a bad cop off. Great, he's done. He's out.
Right.
And then, of course, I found out later. Someone told me about the link with Michelle Malkin, and I watched it. I'm like, whoa, something's bad wrong here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's not hard to pick up on it, just from watching that. So, I know it drew me in right away for sure. And so also after, let's see, we streamed the 2-hour interview with Michelle Malkin and the Dickory and Blinkwinkle. Is that the name? Is that what they call him? I love it. I think it's awesome. And then a couple of nights later, I think Sunday night, if I'm not mistaken, we showed it's about 35-minute interview with Michelle Malkin, who interviewed Susanna Ryan, who's a renowned forensic analyst, and she owns her own labs and everything in Southern California. And she does an amazing demonstration on the claims of what the state said were the DNA results. However, Susanna Ryan was able to show that they didn't do these tests, so they can't say the things they said. And then Brett Turvey, who I have a crush on, he's very handsome man, very handsome professor. But really, he's a professor at, I know. He just laughs. Michelle Malkin is showing him some clips of that interview that she did, and you see him in the little square down in the corner, and he's just laughing out loud at how ridiculous.
How unbelievable, yeah.
How unbelievable they were, and the things that they said and did, and so.
And they were so credible.
Very credible.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and there were 4 more. So those were part of the 2 and the two of the six world-renowned forensic scientists. And I know this, and I can never remember how to say it and how to say the answer, but Kay, how was it that they were submitting their brief? They all independently were, did their
Yeah, right. They did their
Evaluation.
research. They did all the research independently, so they didn't get together and look at the case as a team. They each did their own analysis, and then they put together the amicus brief and asked the court to accept it, and the court wouldn't even read it, much less accept it.
God, that pisses me off.
I think
Jesus.
it said that because they didn't basically, I'm paraphrasing, but specify what they were going to show, basically what the state did wrong and how they were going to define what the amicus brief was going to say, that's why they declined it. Like declined on a technicality, I guess.
Yeah, they didn't have their information that they provided wasn't clear enough or concise or whatever ridiculous thing they came up with. Yeah, it was really, and you just don't really get a whole lot better than them, I mean, but
Jesus.
but they were just dismissed like they were nobodies, and it's really pretty uncool, pretty biased. It shows the bias.
It shows the politics.
Yes,
Is what it shows.
Yeah,
Were you gonna-
I think it was a case of they didn't want to know. They didn't want to know the correct information.
Yep.
That's right.
Were you
That's
going
right.
to stream it? Were you going to stream any of that pieces of that tonight, or no? I'm just asking.
Oh, I can stream it again tonight when we're done. It's only about 30 minutes long.
Oh, I meant on here.
Oh, I can, I suppose.
I didn't know if you were going to stream some
Oh
stuff.
no,
I was
I
just
wasn't planning
curious.
to. Oh no, I
Okay.
wasn't planning to.
It's a good
That's
idea. I like the idea.
Oh, okay. Well, I can do it.
Should we take a vote?
Yeah, we can vote in the chat. One,
Well,
if you
I
want
mean-
me to stream it. The 6 forensic scientists, and just if you'd like me to stream that right now, let me know. I'll grab it and we can watch it. Don't all raise your hand at once.
Don't be grabbing that guy you're like catcalling a minute ago. Oh, that was me.
Yeah, that was you. All right, let me you guys carry on and chit chat for a minute while I locate the show. It's
All
not hard
right.
to get a
No,
hold
it's a
of.
yes.
Somebody's going to get knocked out. I don't know who it's going to be. Please don't take it personal. I don't know how it decides. So,
No worries, Rhonda.
It's
okay,
up to the StreamYard gods.
it is. It is up to the StreamYard gods. All
Take
right.
that, Cherie.
Okay, let's see here.
I could sing. You want me to sing something?
Yeah, please do.
Just kidding.
Long as it's not a tune from Alibi from King Kratz old band.
Oh,
Yeah, I know that is so creepy. Huh?
that gives me nightmares thinking about that.
Interesting fill-in from actually started last night, I guess. Somebody had posted and this is Avery related. I apologize, but it just came to mind while Rhonda's browsing around. Somebody had posted a link in the SIG sub on Reddit talking about the new documentary on Netflix about that hotel. What's the name of that hotel, Susan?
Sealy.
Oh, the Cecil Hotel?
Yeah, the
Cecil.
Cecil. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were talking.
Oh.
They were talking about how people out on the internet and making all these wild claims and all these conspiracy stuff and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, this one person he made a reference. He was talking about that documentary, but he also had to drag in some things about Ma'am. And we all know Ma'am has got bias to it. He admit it. It's just the way it is. But most of us have moved far past making a murderer. It was a start, but that's way behind. And to me, it is in the rearview mirror. Anyway, I made a comment talking about the King Kratz video that he let loose, and where it shows the lawyer and Avery being secretly filmed. And this guy argued with me all day today about it, trying to justify the surveillance video. He says he first said that they were monitoring him. Okay, well, that's not monitoring. You recorded it. You've memorialized it. It was just, it wasn't crazy. And he's still replying to me. Anyway, thought I'd fill it. Did I need more filling? There's never
Sorry, I was muted. I'm so sorry. I rarely mute myself, clearly.
We know.
I know. What I was talking away. I'll talk whether anybody's listening or not. You guys know me. Okay, let's go ahead and show this fabulous. It's very fascinating, honestly. So. Oh, I shouldn't have played that part.
3, 2, 1.
On the road and across the country, it's been another non-stop, action-packed journey.
Michelle Malkin investigates. Now, here's Michelle Malkin.
The tide has turned, and that's what the mission of our investigative journalism for CRTV is all about. Since the launch of MMI in December 2016, with our signature series, Daniel in the Den, forensic experts and criminal justice heavyweights have stepped forward to expose just how badly they think the system railroaded Daniel Holtzclaw. You'll hear from two of those leading voices in a moment. But first, let's hear from Daniel. He called in to our railroaded screening in his hometown of Enid, Oklahoma, to thank supporters, especially fellow cops and exonerees Ray Spencer and Brian Franklin.
A lot of people will never understand what it's like to be falsely accused, falsely convicted, and have everything taken from you. I ask all of you to please shake their hands or give them a big hug for me.
Daniel also addressed the local media in attendance, including 2 Oklahoma City TV stations and several Enid outlets.
I thank you guys so much for coming out and taking your time to, report this. But what I encourage you guys to do, please, is to please investigate.
That's exactly what we've been doing. And you won't believe what happened with the secret hearings and evidence we told you about earlier this season. Remember, the Oklahoma Attorney General filed a sealed motion with hidden information that the Court of Criminal Appeals sent back to the trial judge in Daniel's case. Here's surveillance video outside the courtroom of this closed hearing, because we weren't allowed inside. 2 days of secret hearings were held in June 2017 with Judge Timothy Henderson, a court reporter, and representatives from the Oklahoma County DA's office, police department, and city attorney's office. Also in attendance, Campbell Ruddick, OCPD's crime lab supervisor, and the boss of Elaine Taylor, whose scientific misstatements and failures we've been reporting to you since our Daniel in the Den series debuted. But what about Daniel? He is the defendant after all.
Me, myself, I couldn't even be there, nor my lawyer could be present. How fair is that? How fair is that as far as the judicial process? How fair is that as far as justice?
Through a series of public records requests filed by me and a few other journalists, we learned that crime lab analyst Taylor's personnel records and forensic work were the focus of those secret hearings. We also discovered that the police department had deleted Taylor's account shortly after she retired in February 2017. Poof, all gone. Like Saturday Night Live's church lady used to say, how convenient. The city says it's standard practice, but this is no standard case. Daniel's high-profile criminal appeal is ongoing, and there are nearly a dozen high-dollar civil lawsuits against both Daniel and the city in play. Thanks to mounting pressure in the courts of law and public opinion, the city was forced to magically recover thousands of pages of Elaine Taylor's emails. Though thousands more remain shielded and unknown others may be permanently deleted and unrecoverable. It wouldn't be the first time the OCPD crime lab found itself in the middle of an evidence destruction controversy. During the infamous scandal involving forensic chemist Joyce Gilchrist, crucial trial evidence routinely disappeared. Elaine Taylor worked under Gilchrist. The bombshell news is that all these shenanigans caught the attention of high-profile attorney Kathleen Zellner of Chicago. She represented exoneree Ray Spencer, whom we featured earlier this season in his $9 million civil suit. She's also one of the most successful exoneration lawyers in the country. Zellner freed Ryan Ferguson, wrongfully convicted of murdering a sports editor in Missouri, and also represents Stephen Avery of Netflix's Making a Murderer fame in his post-conviction efforts. In early fall 2017, Zellner fired off a series of public tweets roasting the Oklahoma City Police Department over its bizarre handling of DNA-related emails in Daniel's case. Zellner signaled her intent to get involved in the case, and in late September added Daniel to her Twitter biography's roster of clients. Also speaking out, 6 forensic scientists who analyzed the DNA flaws and failings in the Holtzclaw case. When their motion to file a brief with the Court of Criminal Appeals was rejected, they released their full report publicly. These renowned experts include Peter Gill of Oslo, Jane Goodman-Delahunty in Australia, Moses Shanfield, a former New York lab director, now at George Washington University, George Shiro, a Mississippi-based lab director, Brent Turvey of the Alaska-based Forensic Criminology Institute, and Susanna Ryan, a California-based DNA scientist. At the heart of the report is the prosecution's so-called smoking gun, DNA on the fly of Daniel's uniform pants that matched the DNA profile of a 17-year-old accuser. Daniel stopped her on June 17, 2014. That DNA was just one contributor to the minuscule mixtures of DNA from at least 3 different contributors, including at least one unknown male. That's important because when Daniel pat searched the 17-year-old female, he also pat searched another male and female who were with her. Early the next day, he also pulled over linchpin accuser Janie Liggins during an end-of-shift traffic stop. Liggins was the first to accuse Daniel, in her case, oral sodomy. She went public and the case snowballed. But Liggins' rape kit exam was negative, and the crime lab failed to perform basic serology tests to gather evidence. Like, did any of the DNA on Daniel's pants derive from saliva that you might expect after an oral assault? We traveled to Southern California to get answers. There we met with Holtzclaw Forensic Report co-author Susanna Ryan, who broke it all down for us. She showed us step by step some of the crucial errors she believes that OCPD crime lab analyst Elaine Taylor made based on testimony and lab reports.
One of the things that you honed in on was the way that the crime lab analysts tested the pants. So we have a pair of pants here, and we wanted to have you explain what she did right and what she did wrong.
So this is a pair of pants that would be similar to the ones that Daniel was wearing. They were described as navy blue uniform pants. She looked at the pants visually. She used a light, kind of a bright light like this. She did mention that she used a magnifying glass. And what she was doing at that time was looking for any stains, visual stains. This is known saliva on here. That wouldn't always show up. On these pants, it is showing up. But if you don't see any staining, then the next thing that you're going to want to do is look with an alternate light source. So when you put on the orange glasses and you have this alternate light source, what happens is after you shut out the lights, you're actually seeing fluorescence from certain body fluids. Okay? So when the lights go out and you have an alternate light source, certain body fluids will fluoresce. In this case, there's a little bit of fluorescence, a little discoloration here in this area. Mm-hmm. You would also want to check the inner fly area. So there are additional stains that you're not seeing with the naked eye. In this case, the allegations were oral assault. And so saliva is one of those body fluids that does fluoresce. So in my opinion, that is one of the things that should have been done in this case, a simple alternate light source examination, which would help you visualize not just saliva stains, which she was aware there was an allegation of that, but vaginal fluid also fluoresces.
Why wouldn't she use an alternate light source?
I don't know. Again, it's very common practice. There are some tests that are not as common. A test for vaginal fluid is not as common, but a saliva test is common.
So if the crime lab analyst had used an alternate light source and it had lit up to show saliva, what would the next step be?
Many different fluids will fluoresce. So now you want to try to narrow that field. What is the fluid? In this case, again, the initial allegations were oral intercourse. So a logical step would be a saliva test. What it does is it actually gives you a blue coloration if saliva is present. So this is a neat saliva stain. It's very dark blue. On the other hand, if you had a negative, and holding it up here, you've got the blue in the bottom, but it hasn't reacted with anything, so that's why it's clear.
Gotcha.
However, this test also is pretty sensitive. This is a 1 to 100 saliva stain, and you can still see that kind of faint blue coloration. It's a quick test that can be done. It doesn't waste any sample because the cells are actually retained here in this. There's also other tests that could be done later. There were allegations of vaginal intercourse. There are not many labs that do presumptive testing for vaginal cells, but it is possible. And actually, one of the ways we can look at the cells is with a microscope. It does give you an indication or an idea of whether vaginal epithelial cells are present.
And this is important because Galen Giger, the assistant district attorney, in his closing statement, asserted flat out that the DNA found on Daniel's 5 of his pants came from the vaginal walls of the 17-year-old accuser, and that it came unequivocally from quote-unquote vaginal fluid. But what did the crime lab analyst do to confirm that?
Nothing. There was no serology testing. There was no testing for saliva. There was no testing for vaginal fluid. So that's scientifically incorrect. It's unsound. You can't make a statement that you have identified a fluid if you have not done any testing for that particular
So
fluid.
what would you have done?
In my laboratory, I do perform testing for vaginal fluid or vaginal epithelial cells. It's not a confirmatory test, but what you can see on the screen actually is one of the stains that I use called Dane stain. You're seeing where there's kind of an orangish color, that's the vaginal cells, whereas buccal cells, cells from your mouth, would be kind of more of a bluish color. So they are not going to look the same on the screen. Now, another test that I do that's a little bit more common is something called the Lugol's test. It's an iodine test where on this particular sample, we can add just a couple of drops, so it's a very quick test. And the vaginal cells, if present, will stain kind of a chocolate brown color, whereas buccal cells will not have that same coloration. So it actually starts reacting right away. So this is my vaginal cells and the buccal cells. So when I look at that under the microscope, what I'm seeing on the screen is a chocolate brown coloration. And so that color is an indication that you're actually dealing probably most likely with vaginal epithelial cells.
It's very distinctive looking.
Right. And the buccal cells, on the other hand, are just sort of a yellowish color. They don't have that same dark coloration. And so it's, again, not a confirmation, but it does give you an idea. And the same way, a lack of those vaginal epithelial cells would give you an indication that it doesn't appear to be vaginal fluid on the sample. This is a way to help distinguish between cells from the mouth and cells from the vagina.
They are very different. They're very distinct.
Right, visually very distinct. So again, not many labs have this type of testing, but it can be done. It can give you an indication then of what sort of body fluid you're looking at.
It's just another useful data point.
It helps to confirm or negate an accuser's story. If they're saying, listen, I was orally assaulted, here's the pair of pants, he didn't pull his pants down, there is an expectation there's probably going to be some saliva transfer.
Yeah.
So let's do the testing and determine, is saliva present? Not just whose DNA, because you can always look and see, okay, whose DNA it is, but the testing today is so sensitive that you can pick up just skin cells And you can get DNA from touch and not just from a body fluid.
And that was such an important point of the report that you and your other co-authors made.
Right.
Because it wasn't accurately or scientifically portrayed by either the crime lab analyst or the prosecutor.
Right. Another issue that I had with the analysis was it was stated that Daniel Holtzclaw was not present in the mixtures. And in fact, the report stated something different. It said it was inconclusive. We don't know who all's DNA is present, and that's the accurate statement.
I can't understand why these basic things weren't done in this case. What was the conclusion of the report?
Looking at everything, we did conclude that we didn't feel that he had gotten a fair trial. And it's our opinion that there were problems with the testimony and with the testing, and a new trial should be issued.
That wasn't just Susanna Ryan's finding. 5 other experts did their own independent research and agreed. Let me read you the last line of their report. We believe that Mr. Holtzclaw's conviction should be overturned and he should be given a new trial. Police interviewed Daniel Holtzclaw in person the same day a middle-aged woman accused him of sexual assault. It was during that single 2-hour interview that the detectives diagnosed Daniel as a monster. The words they used to describe him to me were narcissist, psychopath, and evil. But a lot more happened. Let's start by watching a crucial section of the initial interrogation video where the detectives don't take Daniel's underwear. Strange considering he's accused of a sex crime. But they do take his pants and belt. Together, mind you, not separate. That's the first problem. Now, let's back up a little to see what the detective does. Wait, pause it right there. Look at that. See anything wrong? Well, yeah, it doesn't take a trained eye to see a big problem. Detective Rocky Gregory puts his bare hand in the evidence bag. So just how bad of an error is this? Don't take my word for it. We were lucky enough to catch renowned forensic scientist and criminal profiler Dr. Brent E. Turvey as he was between trials. He took a look at this video and analyzed the problems and showed us what should have happened.
Obviously, the first problem we have is that he's using his naked bare hand. If you're collecting evidence from a suspect or from a witness or from anyone involved in a crime, and you're going to move that evidence directly into an evidence bag, you need to wear latex gloves or Mylar gloves to prevent your DNA from transferring onto the object. So what he's done is he's contaminated the inside of the bag with his hand, and he's contaminated the both items of evidence with his DNA, his detective's DNA, before putting them into the bag. That's how touch DNA works. It's very sensitive, and we can pick that up. The second thing is you must have only one bag per item of evidence. Now, to properly collect a pair of pants, you do not wad them up and throw them into a bag. That is completely improper, because what you're looking for is stains, other transfers, and patterns. Let's say maybe you're looking for a hair, maybe you're looking for blood, maybe you're looking for semen. We don't know yet because we're right now at the collection phase. So when you collect a pair of evidence like this, what you're supposed to do, wearing proper gloves, is you would lay it down on a piece of paper, a piece of white butcher paper, and you would roll the pair of pants up inside that paper like so. The paper would be creating a layer at each roll. So what you'd have is an item of clothing wrapped up inside what looks like a white roll. And then you would take that item, fold it, and put it into the bag. And then immediately you would have evidence tape, and you would fold the bag down like this. You would seal it with evidence tape, sign your name and assign an evidence item number right across it, put the date, the location where it was collected, all that information to keep and maintain a chain of custody. Because now you've secured it in such a fashion that you can test it at a later date and presume that you've not contaminated it. And you've not only have you prevented immediate contamination, you prevented future contamination from the object, things shaking off of it, patterns transferring around, hairs transferring around. Because when you open this bag at a later date, you're going to not only take out what's in the bag, you're going to look inside the bag and see if anything fell off during transfer. And here's the most important thing. If you're doing a real investigation, you don't know what's important until later on. So you want to make sure to protect the integrity of every piece of evidence you collect.
So all of these errors compounded by having multiple items in the bag as well creates more routes for possible contamination?
It shows an overall attitude of total disregard for the physical evidence. This guy doesn't care about the DNA. He doesn't care about the physical evidence. He's just doing what he thinks he has to do. He's doing this almost theatrical, like he's trying to use this as a mechanism by which he's going to get an inculpatory statement for Daniel to say, yeah, I'm going to take this, I'm going to send it to the lab. No, in reality, if you're really doing it properly, you go through a whole procedure and you have somebody do it who knows what they're doing. This shows somebody who doesn't understand physical evidence, doesn't care about the physical evidence.
Wow, a total and reckless disregard for the evidence. Such a simple thing that could have such a profound effect on the investigation. While DNA was a key issue, there were many other problems. Retired NYPD detective and founder of Forensics for Real Inc., John Palucci, attended our screening of the Railroaded episode and had this to say about the interrogation video as a whole.
When I watched that interview of Daniel, how many people have watched that? Is that a piece of work or what? Work is the four-letter word choice right now.
Because Dr. Turvey is also a criminal profiler, we wanted to ask him about the key players in the investigation, the detectives, attorneys, and accusers. We started by showing him a clip of our interview with the lead detectives on the case.
I wanted you to take a look at the answers that Detective Kim Davis and Rocky Gregory, the sex crime detectives who led this, and given that it was Daniel Holtzclaw who was calling in through his CIU unit with the Vruna records and never denied that he had come into contact with any of these women, what they did was take all that information and then reverse engineer by, as you say, going out and seeking out all of these women except for the very first accuser. So this is an exchange that I had with them about the lack of physical evidence at that first stop.
What were the results of the SANE test with regard to Jamie Liggins?
There was no DNA in her mouth.
She also said that at one point his hands were on top of the car, and at one point her hands were on the hood?
On the hood, yes.
And what were the results of the DNA tests on those?
They didn't DNA test those, they fingerprinted. You can't do both.
Okay, and what were the results of that?
They didn't get fingerprints.
Why do you think that is?
Because hundreds of people touched the cars, the weather, you got to keep in mind, Holtzclaw's car was a pigsty. It was absolutely nasty. And a lot of times, like when we go into a house for a burglary and it's just nasty, you never get results from that, just from the filth.
Wow.
And his car was pretty filthy.
So the fingerprint tests came back negative on the car, and the SANE test came back negative for DNA in her mouth.
Correct.
You still believed her story at that point?
I did.
Detective Gregory, same?
Yes, after Kim kind of relayed everything, because Kim's done hundreds and hundreds of investigations, and she's got a good grasp on whether a victim's telling the truth or not, and just kind of the storyline that she told me.
Okay.
I know.
There's layers of problems here.
Yeah, tell us.
Let's start with the first premise. They know the truth, and the truth is that when the victim makes a statement, you must bother to test their statements against the physical evidence record. And if their statements do not lead to physical evidence, that's a problem. What they're doing is explaining it away while still clinging to their original assumption, which is that Holtzclaw must be guilty of these crimes. So first of all, let's talk about the physical evidence transfer. The hood of a car is very good for both identifying visual prints, but also for identifying latent prints and for pulling them. Mm-hmm. The next statement was to explain that was his car was filthy. In fact, she used the word nasty.
It was absolutely nasty.
Immediately, her emotional response goes way up. She knows that she's got a problem because there should have been fingerprints. And two, instead of dealing with that, she starts characterizing the defendant in a very negative way. It was so inappropriate. And I can't even begin to tell you the problem that I have with that, because it gives us a real quick peek inside of her mind. She's not talking about the car. She's talking about Daniel. Yeah. She's trying to vouch for her lack of evidence by talking about his character. And that is, emotionally, that works so well with people. Mm-hmm. That's what we've been trained to think that way. Oh, his car's nasty, he's guilty. An investigator who thinks that way has a threshold problem with objectivity. and really needs to find a new profession. What's really interesting to me is him, the detective. He immediately is not willing to take any responsibility for anything that's happened. He's like, she said it was, and she's smarter than me, and she's been doing this longer.
Yeah.
Her whole thing is, well, I've worked hundreds of cases. Experience is not a shield to scientific scrutiny. Experience is something you demonstrate by doing your due diligence and following your protocols. So when someone uses their experience to explain why they didn't do their job, that to me is an oxymoron. I would want to go and look at every single case she's worked at to see whether or not she did this based on a feeling.
She's acting as an advocate.
She's acting as an advocate for the victim instead of an advocate for the truth, to find the truth. That's the job, to uphold the Constitution, which applies to everybody in the case, not just one person that she likes or dislikes or finds nasty.
Mhm.
That's not what you.
Okay.
Damn.
It's not what you do. Oh,
Are you guys seeing the whole thing correctly? Okay.
I'm not now.
What do you mean, Rhonda?
Well,
hello?
hold on.
I wondered. Told you about looking up midget porn while you're doing this.
What now?
Oh my God.
I mean, the fact that he's laughing at them, you know, that says it all.
Man, his last like 4 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes of conversation is a speech that needs to be repeated over and over to every senator and representative that anyone can ever stand in front of.
I agree.
Man, we really have to start getting some people that understand this problem. Sickening.
I am having a problem.
What's going on?
So I accidentally logged out of StreamYard.
Oh.
But you guys are still seeing the video?
It's paused.
It's paused up, but it's up.
24:55.
Yep.
Okay, hold on a minute. Holy shit.
It says you're in there.
Yeah, I can see you.
Yeah, I came back in. It's the most bizarre thing.
Well, like last week, it was muting my mic or unmuting my mic or whatever. Kept muting my mic. That's what it was.
I don't know how it's playing, but I'll start it again. I mean, I won't start, but
And really needs to find a new profession. What's really interesting to me is him.
oh,
That's weird. I wonder why.
Was that hairspray?
I don't know where it's playing from.
I was just doing that with my mouth.
Hold on.
I'm trying to be entertaining here. I only have a few tools. It's your turn, Susan. Alice.
It is so weird. I don't know why. I don't know how you're hearing this because I stopped the stream.
That's weird. Jack, it's your turn.
I know where we can find a couple of tools at.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, hold on.
And Cherie, she's kicked out, right?
Yeah. Okay. Now, I am so sorry. Hold on a minute.
Can I get you a margarita while you're figuring that out?
Oh, God, yes. A couple would be good.
That's a good look.
She's got a problem because there should have been fingerprints. And two, she, instead of dealing with that, she starts characterizing the defendant in a very negative way.
Pigsty,
It was
she
so inappropriate. And I can't even begin to tell you the problem that I have with that because it gives us a real quick peek inside of her mind. She's not talking about the car. She's talking about Daniel.
Yeah.
She's trying to vouch for her lack of evidence by talking about his character. And that is, emotionally, that works so well with people.
Mhm.
That's what we've been trained to think that way. Oh, his car's nasty, he's guilty. An investigator who thinks that way has a threshold problem with objectivity and really needs to find a new profession. What's really interesting to me is him, the detective. He immediately is not willing to take any responsibility for anything that's happened. He's like, she said it was, and she's smarter than me, and she's been doing this longer.
Yeah.
Her whole thing is, well, I've worked hundreds of cases. Experience is not a shield to scientific scrutiny. Experience is something you demonstrate by doing your due diligence and following your protocols. So when someone uses their experience to explain why they didn't do their job, that to me is an oxymoron. I would want to go and look at every single case she's looked at to see whether or not she did this based on a feeling.
She's acting as an advocate.
She's acting as an advocate for the victim instead of an advocate for the truth, to find the truth. That's the job, to uphold the Constitution, which applies to everybody in the case, not just one person that she likes or dislikes or finds nasty.
Mhm.
That's not what you do. The science has proven over and over again that detectives cannot tell. It's no better than a coin toss, whether you can tell where someone's lying to me. That's why we bother to employ people at a crime lab. That's why we bother to test evidence, because people do lie and they get ground balls by you all the time because you're not paying attention, because you think you're a super cop. You think you're a super lie detector.
Yeah.
You're not. It's not how it works.
This was an interesting phenomenon because you had the procurement of the 13 accusers, and
It's a great word for it.
there were 8 out of the 13 on whose charges Daniel was found guilty, and it was a mishmash of almost random or splitting the baby is how both the detectives and government officials have put their description of the verdict.
They split the baby on.
They split the baby. Is that justice?
Well, that's how they perceived. That's
You
how it
had
works.
5 of the accusers on whose charges Daniel was completely cleared of.
Yes.
There just seemed to be a randomness about
Yes.
it. There was one, Shardarian Hill, who was caught at the end of her interview with Rocky Gregory saying, "Is this good evidence?" She sort of stretched her arms out as if it was all in a day's work and said, the phrase was, quote,
even if he didn't even rape nobody, nothing, he's been in contact with people that he was arrested.
because he had contacted these women, somehow he deserved to face some sort of legal consequences for that.
And that's advocacy one way or the other. You essentially assume the premise in order to prove the argument. And that's, again, a logical flaw. It's what happens when you have detectives who are not properly educated. You have people who are functionally, logically illiterate, who are advocates running cases instead of people who have proper education and proper scientific and investigative protocol.
As the case attracted national media attention, there were many opportunists who came forward, and
We
also
call them false reporters, but yes.
false reporters that,
Right.
that piled on. So I wanted to ask you about Shawnee Sparksdale. This is a picture of her. She is one of the many women, and one man, by the way, who came forward in the course of all of the media frenzy to claim that they had also been sexually molested or assaulted by Daniel Holtzclaw. And I want you to take a look at some of the video of her interview.
We don't want this guy out here hurting our own citizens. There's others out there that's real. If I didn't have to work on this case, okay, and try to track down real victims, because I've had to go to a lot of women stuff happened with, okay, they didn't come forward. I've had to go find them, okay. If I didn't have that real thing to do right now, I probably would arrest
you. I am astonished, not only that she was not arrested on the site, but that he acknowledges that he should have arrested her and didn't. When you have somebody who's a false reporter and they're willing to do this, very often false reporting is associated with other incidents. They're not just doing it one time. So if you arrest one time, you're preventing not one false reporter, you're preventing the 20 more that are going to come later on in their life. Because they're going to realize, once they realize it works and there's no consequences, they're going to keep doing it. And he acknowledges that in the interview. And that fact is, what it tells you is how fast and loose they're playing with the law. But more importantly, it gave you an insight into his thinking. If I just had good evidence, some people making a good statements, I could just I could arrest this guy. He's looking for that golden ticket. He couldn't find it.
And the only difference between women that they determined were lying and women who they determined were telling the truth was it needed to match up with the GPS and AVL information. So the same way that they applied that to the presence of DNA, they applied it to, well, if the GPS showed that Daniel was in a certain place, ergo, a sexual assault must have occurred.
It's completely improper, but it goes right back to basic interview interrogation techniques. He's not thinking like a detective. He's not thinking like a truth seeker. He's not thinking like he cares about what actually happened. And they're using GPS data in that same fashion with this, therefore, because that's not how it works. That does not create good truth seeking.
It's terrifying.
No, but it's common. It's the way that law enforcement investigates cases. They trace statements instead of evidence. They don't follow the evidence. They don't let the evidence tell them what happened. They decide what happened, and then they try to cherry pick the evidence to fit their narrative.
7 months after Shawnee Sparksdale admitted lying to police about Daniel to help the case, she was finally charged with felony false reporting of a crime. But it was dropped to a misdemeanor. In May 2016, she pleaded guilty and got off with a short probation and a tiny fine. She wasn't the only known liar.
From what I understand, there were an additional 7 whose allegations didn't hold any water with you all.
Some people thought of money or just wanted attention or however. I interviewed one male.
One male who said that Daniel Holtzclaw. And what was the outcome of that?
He admitted he lied.
Yeah. So there are plenty of reasons to lie, including
Get out of trouble.
And money, as you said, was a big factor for people. They wanted to cash in.
After they saw it on the TV, they were like, "Ooh, I can get in on this."
And this kind of case and these kind of allegations are sort of a magnet for people who are looking to cash in.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Despite acknowledging that at least 7 people, including one male, had lied in order to join the Holtzclaw publicity bandwagon and high-dollar civil lawsuits, police and prosecutors failed to charge anyone else but Barksdale with making false allegations. That's alarming. False narratives aren't harmless fibs. They can cost innocent people their freedom, even their lives. This is a copy of Dr. Brent Turvey's newest textbook, False Allegations: Investigative and Forensic Issues in Fraudulent Reports of Crime. As Dr. Turvey teaches students and true law enforcement professionals, it is a fact of life and the criminal justice system that people lie. Moreover, quote, too many investigators succumb to personal and institutional bias, and they perpetuate deceit. Lying about crimes is a crime, and enabling lies is as wrong as telling them, especially when those lies are told under oath and in front of a jury. In Daniel's case, the lead prosecutor got away with apparently telling falsehoods about the DNA evidence. The crime lab analyst got away with failures to do basic serology tests and to disclose vital information about the DNA mixtures. These forensic falsehoods drove a biased investigation by detectives who manufactured a profile of Daniel's victims based on personal beliefs and gut instincts. They concluded Daniel was guilty before they had gathered all the facts. They sought out accusers, casting a wide dragnet involving more than 40 women, proactively informed many that they were seeking out sexual assault victims to get a bad guy off the streets. They dismissed basic factual discrepancies, illogical claims, repeated denials, and pleas by at least one woman to be left alone.
No, I don't want to, please, please. I just want to leave it alone.
They acted as advocates instead of investigators, routinely excusing accusers' lapses of memory, explaining away repeated failures to find corroborating forensic evidence, and downplaying their troubled histories, including crimes of deceit. With the exception of Janie Liggins, publicity hound and lead civil rights lawsuit plaintiff, it was Daniel who placed himself at the scene by calling in and running the accuser's data through his patrol work. He readily acknowledged that every encounter with the accusers occurred, not the work of a serial predator trying to hide his actions. Sexual allegation falsehoods were inserted into a true framework. Misleading police reports omitted exculpatory information that didn't fit the detective's predetermined outcome. Prosecutors depended on those incomplete and biased reports to shape their narratives. These non-credible stories were then all chained together and bolstered by falsely portrayed DNA evidence that greatly swayed the jury. Scientist Erica Fuchs explains the damage wrought by these misleading statements.
The government should not be allowed to convict people by stating lies, and that's happened in Daniel's case. It's not a bad thing to be wrong, but what is bad is when you cover it up and you don't acknowledge it.
Daniel's growing team of supporters is ensuring that the cover-up fails and sunlight prevails. More independent observers and experts are asking, as we first did on this billboard that sparked so much controversy, what if he didn't do it? And defense attorney Kathleen Zellner is determined to rewrite the ending for innocent defendants, and that list now includes Daniel. Another expert now speaking publicly is Ken Tisdell, a former law enforcement officer whose company LCG handles high-tech and complex investigative matters. He is one of many donating valuable time to clear Daniel's name. He had strong words for those involved in what he believes to be a botched, biased investigation.
We're coming after Oklahoma City, and we're coming after Kim Davis and Rocky Gregory. The work that they did was horrible at best. We will continue to go after you, and it will be very embarrassing for Oklahoma City and all these other parties for the travesty that they've inflicted upon Daniel and his family.
We'll continue to uncover the buried facts and truths as Daniel's defenders inside and outside the courtroom fight for his freedom.
Well,
Wow.
there you go. So,
Almost leaves you speechless. I mean, that one guy was talking about his reaction to Kim Davis about her talking about getting the fingerprints off the car, and then she immediately starts debasing Daniel. I mean, we saw that right away.
right. Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
So obvious she's lying
Yeah.
and covering up and hiding her incompetency.
Right.
I was actually looking for that book that Dr. Brent Turvey.
What was that, Jack?
So I was actually looking for that book on Audible, that book that she mentioned, False Allegations.
Yeah, we looked for that the other night, and it's a textbook, and so
It's like $85.
yeah.
Yeah, you can get it on Kindle. You can.
Yeah, you can rent it on Kindle.
Yeah, we're talking about splitting the cost of it and trying to get through it because, or at least some good passages that are relevant. So
Yeah, it's too bad it's not on Audible.
It is.
It is on Audible?
No, it's too bad. It is.
Oh.
It is too bad.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh God.
I was looking here. I'm like, okay, where did you find it at? Because I've been looking for the last 5 minutes. I couldn't find it.
Yeah, we weren't. So yeah, that's still on the table. We're the three of us are at least are still talking about splitting the cost of the rental and finding good passages and sharing them.
It's probably a good book that details a lot of cases that because false allegations. I've seen that play out numerous times.
We should rent it and then read it and record the readings.
Yeah, we can do that.
If we have enough people interested in helping do that.
Yeah.
Because we need one more thing to do right now.
I know we don't have enough, right?
Right.
Let's see here, Kindle.
So,
we might learn something that would be useful, though.
I agree. I completely agree.
Well, if y'all decide to do it, let me know. I'll chip in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds like a good plan. Definitely interested in doing it.
I mean, it's gonna cut into my beer money, but whatever.
Right.
I don't really drink.
I know you're a big drinker.
Yeah, you know me. I live out on the edge. Me and my vitamin water and
That's funny.
2 or 3 coffees a day.
You can.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, this has been a fun and interesting chat.
Yeah, Gala got a little more education about the forensic stuff. I think I probably mentioned to him a little bit. I don't know if I told him about. I know I've seen this video. It's been a long time though. The one you just showed.
It's a good one.
It is a good one.
Yeah, really good.
Details a lot of really useful information that would have been so. It was so needed to trial, but.
Oh God, it's sickening.
God, you just want to set these damn judges down in front of this stuff and say,
Yeah. Blast it in their ears.
How do you respond to this?
How can they not know? Seriously.
There was another.
Like I said, it's political.
Yeah,
it's all political.
Absolutely.
Money and positions and everything else.
Well, and the political winds blowing of any which time. I was going to say, Kay, there was another case, and I can't think of it, and I probably would have to dig to find it. It happened in Oklahoma. It was a small town. It wasn't this. It happened in a small town some years ago, and I know it's in a documentary. It was on Netflix, actually.
Well, the young kid that got killed went to a party out in the country. Is that what you're talking about?
Stacy, do you remember a case in Oklahoma recently?
No.
Not recently. It was in the 90s.
Oh no, in the 90s.
I think is it the female Jack that killed her or plotted to kill her husband or something?
It seems like it.
Cut the brake lines or had somebody cut the brake lines.
Female who plotted to kill her husband. Cut the brake lines?
It was a wrongful conviction case.
Brenda Andrews?
I can't remember. I know it was a wrongful conviction case, though.
Oh, wait, that's not wrongful conviction, though.
Oh, yeah. No, it's not.
No,
this was a wrongful conviction case.
Man, I don't know. Now you're going to have to find it and let me know what it is.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can look back at some
talking about the innocent man guy?
It may have been. Is that in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
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 John Grisham
Ward.
wrote a book about it.
Tommy Ward.
That's
Tommy
on
Ward.
Netflix.
Tommy Ward.
Yeah, Tommy Ward. Yeah.
I think that may be it, because it happened like in the 80s or 90s. It's been quite a few years. Okay.
Yeah, I think you're talking about the Innocent Man Netflix.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that up.
A false confession and then a wrongful conviction. At least
He's still in jail now, isn't he? But he's fighting. He's trying to fight to get out.
I don't know. I actually have the book.
That's
Ada,
it.
1984.
Ada. That's it.
Yeah.
Ada. That's exactly where it happened at. Ada. I knew it was that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Is that the Innocent Man?
Yes. Ada,
Okay.
Oklahoma. Yes.
Yeah.
Tommy Ward.
Yeah, Gala, you need to watch that. Netflix. Do it.
Good.
Yeah, that's a twisted thing that's still going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it not over?
Well, there were more people involved than just Tommy Ward.
Oh.
3 guys involved. Fontenot, I think Carl Fontenot is the one that's still getting the raw end of the stick, or whatever.
But now let me see if my memory serves here. Wasn't there something going on with the prosecutor in this case too?
Yeah.
I can't think of his name.
I don't know. I don't know what his name is.
Yeah.
It just seemed like I remember something shady about the prosecutor as well.
Oh well, sure.
Typical shade.
Yeah.
Typical shade.
Definitely.
We all know what that means.
Yeah, we do.
Or as Alice would say, the fucking tosser. I get that right, Alice? Did I nail
It
it?
certainly did. Aye, spot on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. There's like, I don't know how many episodes there are of the show on Netflix, but because I think there were several. It was a series. God, I can't talk anymore. But we'll find this. I bet you Catnip's got her hands right on top of that link.
She's a cat on the spot. I'm looking right now.
All right. Well, I feel like we've covered quite a bit and some interesting discussions in the chat. So does anybody have any questions in the chat or comments they'd like to make?
6 episodes, by the way, Rhonda.
Is it 6? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to ask, is there a list of the accusers that he was convicted on?
Yeah.
Somewhere?
Uh-huh.
Is that on the Discord or?
Yeah, I'll put it in the general. I'll find it. I'm not sure where it is, but I'll find it and drop it in the general chat.
Okay, appreciate that.
Yeah, each accuser and what he was convicted for each one. That would be interesting to see.
Well, yeah.
Because this boat swapping, that's a big no-no. Michelle was right on pointing that out too. I mean, you can't stop it, right? The splitting the baby like they were talking about. Yeah. That's a huge problem. That's why a lot of people talk about having a professional jury system, and I don't know that I necessarily agree with that, but God, you talk about like that, and I'll throw one more thing out there before you wrap up. You think about a civilian review board and watching just what we have of Rocky and Blinkwinkle. Can you imagine how many of them literally would probably gouge their eyes out? I mean, I know if I was on a civilian review board and I seen a police officer act the way she acts, I'd be like, what's going on? Normal people don't act like this. And just because she's a police officer, I don't see that gives that upper edge to portray, how they do their, to be a professional. These are professional people. I mean,
Well, like the guy just said, untrained or poorly trained or
poorly trained. Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right. Okay. Well, we will take any other questions that you have now or comments, or we'll just go ahead and sign off and be back next Tuesday with either an accuser or might be another chat because we're still kind of busy in our project. But at any rate, we'll be here on Thursday and we'll be getting Daniel's thoughts on Chapter 4 of Death and Justice. So nobody else has anything else to say? Kay or Cherie, do you have any last comments?
No, not really. I put a really cool chart in the general chat.
Cool.
A general discussion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That it has a really good, gives you all of the details about who got convicted or who he was convicted on what charge and all kinds of craziness.
Perfect.
So, really interesting, informative.
We'll see you Thursday for book club.
Yeah, we'll see you on Thursday night. Till then, thank you, Jack, Susan, Alice, and
oh, you're welcome. Thanks
Thank
for having me back.
Yeah, hope you might be having to come back next Tuesday, so don't go too far.
Wait, I was planning on my world tour with all my money. Oh, wait, never mind.
Oh,
No.
right.
I was dreaming that. I've been planning.
Yeah, that was a dream.
Fine, I'll be.
All right. Okay, sounds great. So until Thursday, we will see you guys later.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace out.